Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Sorry my voice is going to be a little bit different. I'm going through a cough, cold situation yet again. Yes, there are breaks in the continuity of ecstasy. The past few months I have felt very low, like I feel like I'm porous as a sieve. I feel very dull and unresponsive to anything, and this bothers me more than feeling pain, to be honest. As a sensualist, the worst thing is to feel nothing, to be jaded. If you don't know what sensualism is, if you're new here, it's a lifestyle philosophy that I'm working on, which prioritizes the cultivation of the senses in order to achieve fulfillment and harmony. I take inspiration from the yellow 90s or the 1890s, and that culture, that zeitgeist's attempt to stylize their life as a means to make it into an art form. And in order to make your life into an art form, you have to have good taste. And good taste is developed from fine-tuned senses or sensibility. Now, what I've been feeling is definitely not ennui. I'm not bored or anything. I'm busy. I'm actually doing new things quite frequently. But I've succumbed to something which does not allow me to feel as much joy as I used to feel from doing things. And I really want to change that. So I've decided to start heavily regimenting my life. This new schedule that I have kind of reminds me of the schedule from Phantom Thread. He kind of has his breakfast at a certain time of day, and he cannot have confrontation at breakfast, or he goes for a walk and he has to have a bath after. And these things are so fixed in his life, and they're so important to the designing of his clothes and his mental well-being and the flow of his creativity and all this. And I think that obviously he's not the best person to live with in the film if you've ever watched it, but I took a lot of inspiration from the rigidity and the asceticism of this routine. I like the rules, at least at this point in my life right now. I'm choosing to be very regimented now because before I went with the flow more. I had to, pretty much. I didn't know what each day might bring, and that was fun at the time. And I think now I need to be sheltered from the world a little bit more. I need my solitude, and I think the world has hurt me a little bit. I think I need stability, not chaos right now, or even serendipity. I think I need regimen, I need routine, ritual. I need that comfort of predictability for perhaps the first time in my life. So here's what I do now. So I really want to try and wake up actually this early, especially when I have a shift around 6:30 in the morning. I'd like to wake up at 5 in the morning or even earlier. The idea for this, or partially for this regimen, to regimen my life a little bit more, was actually brought about from this strange instance where I woke up naturally at 4 in the morning before I had to go to work. I had a racing heart, and I just woke up, and normally I would sleep right through my alarm, and I would not seize the day. I would really just get up, and I would have to get ready in 10 minutes and be out the door because it's such an early shift. And this day I was awake at 4 in the morning. I had time to do my hair. I had time to get ready. I had time to think about what I wanted to wear, or even just lounge around for a second, take my time. But it was also at that strange, very estranged hour in the morning where no one is quite up yet and the world is still very still. And I want to seize that moment when it comes to getting up very early in the morning. And I believe Thoreau even talks about this in Walden, this very special feeling of him bathing in the pond just before dawn. And that is a special feeling. I get it. I felt it that day. So I want to add that to my routine. I won't be doing it all the time because it is pretty crazy. You get up at 4 in the morning and you have to go to bed at 9 or 8 or something. That's pretty intense. But I love that feeling. I felt that rare strangeness, and my senses were heightened in that moment, and they haven't felt that heightened since last year. So getting up and feeling like I was not a part of society, not a part of the world, but I had entered a new kind of civilization, a new dimension, getting up at that hour. And I want that to become a routine, part of my life, adding that strangeness, that uncanniness to my morning. I really like that. I drove to work and I wrote a little bit in my notes on my phone, and it was just really nice. And that's a new thing that I want to implement. I'm going to really try and do that one. So the second thing that I'm going to be implementing is going to be towards the latter half of the day, around 5 o'clock. Me and Cammie, who is my roommate, my best friend, we implemented this new thing called the 5 p.m. movie. And it's the 5 p.m. movie for a specific reason, because 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. has always been the hated hour. We call it the gray hour. It's this time of day, and I've talked to people through my story on my Instagram about this, how there's just a certain time of day where you just literally can do nothing. And it feels wrong to be in your house. You feel like if you get caught in your house at this time, something is very wrong. You feel kind of useless and anxious, and those are the worst things to combine. And so if you feel useless, you're wasting this time and you're basically just laying in bed. That's what I end up doing. I end up laying in my bed and looking at stupid things on my phone for no reason other than that I feel uncomfortable, deeply uncomfortable during this time of day. And we both feel this way. So what we decided to do was, when we get home and it's like this ugly grayish blue light at this time, which is part of the reason why it's called the gray hour. And what we do is we close the curtains. We have blackout curtains in our living room. We close the curtains, we light candles so as to create a more comfortable and artificial ambiance in the living room, and we watch a movie. And this was actually suggested to me from a follower who DM'd me on Instagram talking about how they just watch a movie during that period in the day. And I'm like, that's genius. If you feel useless, you might as well just watch a film, especially a new film, So we've been doing it every single day. We'll make a little bit of food and then we'll go and we'll watch a film, and it just perfectly transports you from that horrible, anxious, useless feeling, and then you're moved and you transition into the evening, which is the more comfortable part of the day, which I've always felt most comfortable, most at home in my own domestic situations at night. Whenever there's artificial lighting or candles, it feels more warm, it feels more welcoming at that time of day for me. So the next thing that I wanted to implement is eating in silence. I know this might sound a little weird. I'm getting to this point where I really feel like eating should be a quiet, thoughtful act. I don't even have my phone, I don't have a book, I don't have a YouTube video playing or anything. I just sit and I make my meal, I make it look nice, I plate it nicely. I sit there and I just eat in silence and I just think, or I don't. And this is one of two kind of cleansing, subtly cathartic habits that I think we need, because we're so accustomed to being on our phone all the time, and we all know how bad that is for us. And it's getting to the point where when we're eating, let's say lunch at work, or I hear my friends talk about this where they see people in the break room and they're just scrolling through TikTok while they're eating their food on their 15-minute, 30-minute break. And it's never ending. It's just this cyclical, senseless going through new stimulus all the time. So now I really just make myself comfortable and take my time, give myself the time to eat as long as I need to eat, so I'm not scarfing food down my throat. And I just sit there and I look out and I think, or I don't think. It's just a moment of cleansing, just shedding of the day, decompressing, decomposing. It's kind of like the equivalent of a shower. I've always liked showers. And for that reason, because you just get to sit under the hot water and something is being purified in that act. It's definitely a ritual. Bathing, cleansing, purification, all that. That's how I feel when I'm eating lately, whenever I just eat in silence. The next sense-provoking act, I would say, is I type on my typewriter. I'm that person. I have a typewriter. I've had this Remington typewriter for probably like 15 years now. I got it at a flea market and she works like a charm. She's really ugly. I've been wanting to paint her or do something with her. The act of typing on it is definitely a beautiful act, and I love the way that typing on it, the font that is used is wonderful. But the typewriter, she needs a paint job or something. I need to do something about that. But I type on my typewriter. I have been having a lot of anxious thoughts that have been making me very uncomfortable, especially when it comes to existence. And the thoughts are just accumulating in my head, and I need to get them out. And I have never felt more joy in writing down my thoughts than doing it on my typewriter. And I like it for not only the reason that I like the way that the type comes out on the paper, but I like it because it takes longer to type. And typing slower makes your thoughts come out more fluidly. Whenever you're typing on like a MacBook or a PC, you're typing fairly quickly. We've learned to be able to type quickly. You simply cannot do that on this type of typewriter. Especially if you have nails, you have to really punch in each letter one at a time. It takes a long time to type. And this way you can have a more fluid stream of consciousness. You don't take breaks. You're not getting ahead of yourself whenever you're writing down your thoughts. And I really love it about this typewriter. I don't know. I look at it every time I come into the apartment, and I'm happy to see it there, and I'm happy to know that after I watch my 5 p.m. movie, I'm going to go right to the typewriter and I'm going to write some of my thoughts down. Just another act of cleansing, of purification, this baby catharsis. It's been very helpful, and knowing that I can do that every evening is very comforting to me. Knowing that it's always going to be there, knowing that that's planned for my evening makes me very happy and provides me comfort. Now, the next thing, this is another version of catharsis. It seems like I'm going on this, the more I'm talking about this now, I'm thinking in real time as I'm talking to you right now. This desire for my senses to be almost like reactivated or something. I feel like there's an accumulation that I have in my head, in my body, my soul, whatever you want to call it. And I feel this desire maybe to purge myself so that I can feel again, to declutter. So the more I'm talking about this right now to you guys, like the more I feel that I'm understanding what my problem is and why things are hard for me to sense and why it's hard for me to care or feel, to have feelings for things, and things don't affect me in the same way, so I'm just overloaded maybe. But another thing is that it's going to be the pastime of intellectuals, artists, and nature lovers alike, and it's going to be going for a walk. Or if you don't want to go for a walk, maybe it's like hot outside, go for a walk on the treadmill at the gym, or go in the sauna. Especially the sauna. That's a great place to expose yourself to something extreme. But going for a walk is, you're actively moving forward, and you're moving through something. So I think just the act of walking, even if it is around the same place all the time, this hasn't been really implemented yet, but I'm saying this now, that I want to go for a stroll every day at a certain time, maybe even in the evening. I just want to be able to take a walk for like a half an hour and just look around and forget myself maybe for a minute. Maybe I'm going over the things that happened in my day. Maybe I'm working through thoughts, or it's just a working through. It's a moving through. The only way is through. It seems like the mechanical act of walking does something for this purification too. And the last thing that I want to implement into my life is reading before bed. I'm not going to show like a visual for this or anything, but it's really just that simple. I think having a book in your hand whenever you are about to go to bed, it gives your mind a rest from your phone. It also helps you to fall asleep better. I may not be able to get through more than like 2 pages before I'm ready to just fall asleep. I have never fallen asleep more easily than when I have a book in my hand. And I think it's an excellent way to fall asleep. It's not even to like read necessarily or to learn anything. It's just, I think it's the most relaxing way to do that. Sometimes I'll read like Break, Blow, Burn by Camille Paglia, and it's like about poems, you know, something little and short, and maybe there'll be one sentence in there that strikes me, and that's enough for me to go to bed with. So reading before bed is the last one. I also, whenever I go to bed and I do this, oftentimes, I don't know if you guys do this too, but whenever you read a book, you'll be reading and you're like reading, but you're also thinking about something else when you're reading, and you're not actually taking in any of the information that's on the page. And so when I'm doing this, I will, let's say, think about something I have to remember for the next day. I've trained my brain to remember things for the morning. So let's say I have to bring a bouquet of flowers to somebody at work tomorrow. I don't put it in my phone. I just tell it to my brain. I say it in my head a couple of times just before I fall asleep, and I wake up in the morning. Every single time without fail, I wake up in the morning and I remember it. I've like trained my brain to do that. I don't know how, but I do it now every single time. So that's also a really important moment just before bed, is thinking about things, because I wake up with those things. I hope you guys like this video. This is just like a period of time where I feel differently, and I feel like I'm slipping back into routines that I've been trying to get away from my whole life, and I'm trying to avoid not feeling anything and to just like be going through each day with nothing to be gained, and I really want to get back to feeling things again. So I think that maybe during this, maybe this is a passive time in my life, but a period in my life, but I think that maybe discipline, predictability, and safety instead of irregularity and chance and risk and all those things that help the senses too. I think I was doing that for a while, and I think now it's time for me to cool it and just be passive and enjoy routines and create full day routines for myself. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. I've always been a somewhat disorganized person. So I think that this will like help me mentally a lot. And I hope it helps you guys. I say this for myself, but as always, this is just as much for me as it is for you guys. So please do not forget to like and subscribe. Please do not forget to comment. I'm going to be better about responding to comments as of now. And let me know if you guys have implemented any routines that are new in your life as of late. And as always, I'll see you guys next week. Can't wait to hear from you all. Bye-bye.